It looks like Billy Woods and Kenny Seagal are teaming up again, and this time they're working to release their next project titled Maps, which will be coming out in May 2023. This kind of acts as a follow-up to their last release from 2019, Hiding Places, as well as pretty much everything else that Billy Woods has been working on over the past couple of years, whether there be solo projects with Arm & Hammer or Moor Mother. He's been busy. Now, they just released a new track titled Facetime featuring Samuel T. Herring. And, as a pretty new fan to Billy Woods, it's only right that I go bar for bar and break down these lyrics. If you are new here, these breakdowns are where I go through it and read out the lyrics to a song and give my interpretation of what the artist is trying to say. My interpretations are not always correct, and I do miss things. So if I miss something or misinterpret anything, please let me know in the comments below. That way, everyone gets to learn something. With Billy Woods, I will say I don't always know what he's saying. So this, especially if I miss something, let me know. I'm also not as much of a listener of him, so maybe he could be referencing other things that he said in the past. Anyways, the song starts off with the first verse from Billy Woods.
Ready to die, it's no biggie, no surprise, no pity. Lived a couple lives, go ahead and slide. Hope I take a couple with me. Made a couple dollars, it got tricky quickly.
He's ready to die, no biggie. I'm just referencing that Biggie album. No surprise, no pity. So whenever he dies, he's not going to be surprised. Or he could be saying, like, don't be surprised and don't pity him. Like, when he dies, he dies. Kind of like it just kind of happens sort of thing. Like, everyone dies eventually. He lived a couple of lives already. Go ahead and slide. I hope I take a couple with me. So he's been around for a minute. He's been doing a bunch of things. Maybe he's talking about all these collaborative projects that he's done. Those are his different lives, different pseudonyms, not even pseudonyms, it's just Billy Woods. But, different personas that he's taken on. He's lived a couple of lives already. He's ready. So whenever his death comes, he's ready for it, essentially. And he made a couple dollars. It got tricky quickly. So him, being an artist and being on tour, you make money, ideally. That's kind of the goal, right? I know most artists don't really make money unless they tour or sell merch. So, you got to do what you got to do. But sometimes things get tricky, like just being out on tour, the money aspect of it, things can get out of hand, but it is what it is.
What you expect? Play stupid games, you flying EasyJet, Bratislava to Utrecht. Something fell off before I even left.
So he's following up that making a couple dollars gets tricky quickly line with what you expect. Like, yeah, shit happens. When you start making money, more money, more problems. Again, probably referencing Biggie again, but just not as obviously as his first line. He mentions a couple of places. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them because I already did to myself and it didn't work. But the first one is the capital of Slovakia, and the second one is a major city in the Netherlands, I believe. So these are places that he's flying to, potentially places that he's toured at, has performed at. Like, these are the places that he's taking this jet to. But before he even left, like, something felt off, which could be tying into the whole title of the song and all that. But something didn't sit right with him before he left.
So when I saw the missed calls, I knew it was next. Didn't have to open the text. Stupid prizes, couples therapy on Zoom. It's a train wreck.
So with this bit, he just goes right into it. So when he saw the missed calls, he just kind of knew what was going to happen. Like, things were off. He didn't even have to open the text. He already knew whatever's coming was coming. Stupid prizes, like, he didn't have to open the text because it would have been a stupid prize. He already knew what it was. Like, he wouldn't have been surprised. But it's also like, oh, hey, you win this prize of, whatever that text may have been. I mean, we can kind of assume based on context clues. But then, he's talking about couples therapy on Zoom. Like, these, it seems to be relationship issues. Eventually, if you try, you want to go through couples therapy. You want to try to get things figured out, fix things. But sometimes the writing's on the wall. You just kind of know what's coming. And he's just talking about, I'm assuming, the relationship, it being a train wreck. And honestly, you could probably argue that this is about any sort of relationship, not even just a romantic one, but based on his tone and, again, context, I would say it's more of a romantic relationship.
My evil eye ward off hex though. FaceTime declined, I'm trying to live in the moment like death row. The sunset in the desert, red glow, redness in the west. I sip Mexico's best slow. Mezcal Negroni.
His evil eye ward off hex though. The evil eye, I think it's like a superstition of where when you're a baby, like if you get a bunch of compliments, like oh no, you have an evil eye on you, something like that. Or you could even think of it as a third eye, and he's maybe like, oh, my evil third eye just already knew, like it's warding off these negative vibes, this hex. So he declined the FaceTime call, and he's just trying to live in the moment. Like he's out on tour presumably, or just exploring Europe, and he's just living in the moment. He's observing the sunset, and while doing so, he's sipping on some mezcal.
Sitting atop the corral, smoking, watching unbroken wild ponies run wild at sundown. Only the lonely big tree like a sundial.
So him watching the sunset in this desert, and watching these horses, wild ponies, just kind of run around, like it reminds him of like maybe what's going on in their relationship. And then at the end of it all, like you see all these horses running wild at sundown, they just kind of go off. All that's left at the end is a big lonely tree, which acts as a sundial. It's never moving, it's always there, and it just kind of goes on with time. Next, we get a chorus from Samuel T. Herring.
Continental breakfast, chicken, weave, tuck and roll. I can take you with me, but I'll be on your phone. You can take it out anytime you wanna know where I've been gone. Nothing out in Texas feels like weeks on the road.
He's talking about being on the road, talking about tour life. You can't take you with me, but I'd be on your phone. Like I text you, I call you, all that sort of thing. You can take out my messages, you can take out my picture, you can take out, like we can just video call. Like you'll know where I've been, or you can even just like look at social media and shit. Nothing out in Texas feels like weeks on the road. I don't know where Samuel T. Herring is from, but I mean maybe he's talking about living in Texas, and he's like, just being out here doesn't feel like being out on the road. Like sometimes, people who go on tour often tend to, well, not necessarily like being on tour, but it's a different life, right? It's kind of like, when you go out and hang out with your friends for a while, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to go home now. And you're just kind of sad when you get home. It's kind of like that, I'm assuming.
Pissing Mississippi, stopped in New Mexico. I ain't seen my folks. And strangely, I feel right at home on my own.
But then with the last part there, it kind of sounds like, while he's on tour, he may feel kind of lonely and miss out on things back home. Like, yeah, he's in Mississippi and New Mexico, but he hasn't seen his folks. And, on one hand, yeah, it's kind of weird. You're like, oh, like, why am I like, or I miss them, but also I feel comfortable out here, Then we get the second verse from Billy Woods.
3 oboes, 1 clarinet. Black rainbows, the night wet. The room smell like Marrakesh. Dubstep drift in the window, I sit at the desk.
3 hobos, 1 clarinet. I'm not entirely sure what that is in reference to. I know on the Genius page it just showed a picture, but maybe that's what he's referencing. But it could just be again him talking about being on the road, just seeing 3 hobos and one of them playing a clarinet. Black rainbows, the night wept. I know Black rainbows is a reference to something else, but him saying the night wept. Rainbows show up after it rains. It rained at night. You can only really see a rainbow at night if it's enough light from the moon. So it's like an indirect rainbow because the sun is what creates the rainbow, but the moon doesn't have its own light because it's getting light from the sun. Something along those lines, I'm presuming. The room that he's in smells like Marrakesh. And there's dubstep drift in the window. He sat at the desk. Like there's stuff happening around him, I guess, while he's out on the road.
It's a party outside. Some have, some overdressed. They was going off during Playboy Cardi set. Now they in the halls partying, checking their phones. Bass shake the walls.
So yeah, there's a party outside. Some of them are overdressed. Some of them are underdressed. They're going crazy during Cardi set. And now they're in the halls partying and just on their phones. which, kind of goes into the FaceTime thing, I suppose. Like they're talking to somebody, or they're just fucking on social media doing nothing important. And the bass is shaking the walls. It's just shit's going crazy.
Smoking alone in a cardigan, thinking of home. The cannabis single origin waffle cone. Went back down to the bar again, wig blown.
He's smoking alone in a cardigan. He's got a smoking sweater on. He's just off on his own, just, tucked away. I mean, it sounds like he's watching all this from a window. He's thinking about home and the cannabis that he can get from home. And then he went back down to the bar again. His wig is blown. Like his mind just is blown because of what he sees, I guess.
After party packed like Parliament. Ass cheeks and cheekbones, lips slightly parted, butter wouldn't melt. I gave her margarine. I'm looking like the help or someone who just wandered in.
So he goes down and his mind's blown because it's packed like Parliament, which I want to say is a club, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone's got their ass out. Cheekbones, lips slightly parted. Shit's crazy. Butter wouldn't melt. I gave him margarine. I don't necessarily know what that's in reference to. But yeah, margarine definitely spreads better than butter. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about how these lips are slightly parted. You need to spread them more. You got to use margarine. Shoot, I don't know. And he just kind of walked in looking like the help because racism, I guess. But also maybe just because of how he's dressed. He doesn't necessarily look like he belongs to the party. It just looks like he kind of wandered in, like he says.
The vibe is animal pelts, chunky rings, clunky shoes, lots of ink. Dudes who order everybody's drink. Really, I'm just waiting for my phone to ping.
So, I mean, he kind of follows up why he doesn't feel like he belongs by telling us that the vibe is animal pelts, chunky rings, clunky shoes, and a lot of ink. And he doesn't necessarily fit that vibe at all, given he's wearing a cardigan. And, there's just all this stuff going on around him. There's people who are ordering other people's drinks, but he's really just waiting for his phone to ring. Whether that be for FaceTime, text message, call.
I'm thinking about you when I'm supposed to be thinking about other things. I don't go to sleep, I tread water till I sink.
So this kind of further goes into the idea that this is about a romantic relationship, because he's like, yo, I should be out here. I told myself that I'm going to live in the moment, but here I am thinking about you when I'm supposed to be thinking about other things. Like, he doesn't go to sleep. He just treads water till he sinks. Like, he has so much on his mind. He's like, the water levels are overflowing. He's going to keep treading water until, he's going to, the water goes above him, essentially. Like, it just keeps flowing in. This then goes into the chorus again, which is the same as before. And then the song is over. Overall, I enjoyed the song. It's definitely not something I would listen to regularly, and to be completely transparent, I don't listen to Billy Woods that often either. I do listen to him every so often, especially when he releases a project, and I do appreciate it for what it is, but it's not something that I listen to on the regular. That is, again, not to say that this is, I don't like Billy Woods at all. Billy Woods is a good rapper, and, with this song especially, he tells a pretty good story and gets pretty vulnerable, it seems. Pretty clearly, I guess, based on the lyrics, you can tell that this is about a relationship. Maybe he just freshly broke up with somebody, or there's, some issues somewhere along the road. Clearly they went to couples therapy and all that. So it was something that he maybe foresaw coming, but didn't really necessarily expect it, or was kind of hoping that it would never happen. So, that's definitely a possibility. It could also be, talking about having relationships while you're on the road, especially as an artist, right? Because, if you are an artist and you're actively touring, and I mean, not every artist tours crazily, but for example, people like Tech9 who tour 200 days out of the year, that definitely puts a strain on relationships. So, you could totally see that is an issue. I don't know that Billy Woods necessarily tours that much, but even still, if you're out of the house so often, that could definitely make it harder. Especially if, for whatever reason, there's other issues in the relationship, trust issues, totally. I get it. So him saying him essentially expecting it made sense. I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of the project though, because production on this was fun. It was, well, not fun. Fun is a poor word for what was just said on this album or the song. But it was definitely good production. It's kind of like that jazz rap that I usually like, but a little bit more calm. But anyways, I am looking forward to the rest of the project. It should be dropping, I think, May 4th, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this track and if I missed something or misinterpreted anything, because like I said, I definitely do miss things. And while you're down there, like and subscribe if you want to see more breakdowns and content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.